Hey YouTube, another walk and talk, because doctor's orders, I'm supposed to be going on a walk pretty much all days, and then the physio is the knee stuff. So when I return today, I'm gonna just, see if I can do that, the physio. It's kind of a list of really silly knee exercises to strengthen the knee. Now, I'm already doing, this butt workout stuff, and it requires a lot of balance. And so by default, my knees got a lot stronger when I started that last May. And I had to take a couple weeks off with this whole tendonitis thing. And so I did that, but now I'm raring to go. I'm ready to exercise and stuff. Anyway, thank you for subscribing, you guys. I just started kind of growing a little bit here recently. I'm getting about, 20 to 30 subscribers a month now. I'm very grateful for all you guys. It's so fun talking to yourself. There's a certain degree of catharsis in that, but it's not absolutely great. Okay, God, it feels like it's just choking me. I made this down in Astoria, guys, during one of Hubs on our forays. We did about 6 or 7 years of RVing where we would go a month or two. It's when we lived in South Dakota and places where our family was in other states and stuff, and we'd go and stay with the kids for a month, and then we'd go to whatever our destination place was, and sometimes we'd go by a KOA. I started getting highfalutin at the end, and that's pretty much where I wanted to go. I liked the place where I could walk around there, and we had all the plug-ins and stuff, because I was at a certain age. You get 50-something, you're like, I don't want to deal with hacking it through, because I did a lot of hacking it through in my 30s. I did tent camping, I slept on the ground, I did all kinds of stuff. Pit toilets, burying the poop, the whole thing. I mean, when I was lucky enough to go, right? Yeah, that's right. Gotta say it like that, guys. I was probably the only adult tie-dyeing. There's a whole slew of kids between the ages of like 3 and 15. They were all tie-dyeing the free shirts, and you get to tie-dye for free. If you're staying at a KOA and they happen to be having a tie-dye event while you're staying there, it's included in your fee. And you'd be surprised, no adults show up, just me, because I like that rainbow stuff. And I don't mean pride flag, guys. Pride flag stuff has kind of ruined my being able to just use rainbow stuff freely without people, attaching that significance to it. I had a kind of a cool tile up on Fiverr where it was rainbowed. It was really cool, and each stripe I had some information imparted about what I would do for you for that gig. And then I started looking at it and going, what if people read something into that? Not that that would be a problem, but that's not really my bent. I wasn't trying to say, I'm a he, she, I'm a her, I'm a them, I like guys, I like girls. I wasn't trying to say any of that stuff. I was just saying, hey, I can upload your book to KDP. That's all I was trying to say. It was simple. What am I talking about today? A lot of stuff. I'm going to be doing a live pretty soon for Clapper. I got a pretty significant following there. I mean, I don't know. It depends on what you're looking at. 31.1 thousand followers, people that have chosen for whatever reason, unimaginable reason, to follow me. I have a high bun on today, guys. The thing that burns Hubs' retinas. He hates his hairstyle. But you know what? This is what people like to see, everybody looking a little different each time they do a video, I think. And I'm not a uniform girl. So today I was like, let's do the high bun. Wind wasn't kicking up too bad, and I didn't feel like it hanging in my face, and I didn't feel like braids again. And Mom was like, I don't know if I like that braided thing you did. Yesterday's braided thing. And I was like, okay. She's super honest. So I was like, does it look like garbage? It wasn't the milkmaid braids. It was something different. So anyway, I'm back to being consistent now. I got my Mag C that's worked. Within 4 days flat, it's working. In fact, we're going back down to 2 pills. Worked a little bit too well. That's okay. I'm happy to be back in the land of the living, waiting for my vitamin D3 to come in. Taking my iodine directly from the dropper, but it leaves a terrible aftertaste in my mouth. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting it back in its own cup of water. Yeah, I didn't love that. I've tried it now for about 4 or 5 days. I'm like, oh yeah, it almost like burns my tongue. No thanks. So I'm all done with that forever. This morning I had another one of those 14-ounce ribeyes, and then I had a couple of the pieces of the Nature's Own 1 carb per slice bread with some butter on it. And I noticed yesterday, I did take off a half a pound yesterday, and I felt pretty good about that. I'm walking for like an hour or so a day, and that seems pretty excessive for my tendonitis thing, but I've been walking real slow, guys. I do not want to return to that. I like hopping out of bed in the morning, and I do not have to deal with any kind of swollen tendonitis or stiff ligaments or tendons or joint pain. That's all done for me right now. And I don't want to be revisited. And tendonitis seems to flare up when you do too much and your body's not prepared. Since I was a regular walker before, not really by choice, but now I am, I thought I'd get back into it real slow. And I did do an hour yesterday, which, like I said, seems like a lot, but it was fine. I was a little sore today, but it was muscle soreness. Like, oh, you haven't done that in a couple weeks. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So hang on, guys, I got a coincidence van here. I don't know if I took that half pound off because I went ahead and walked a little bit and I got a little bit of energy out, but I kept it under 2,100 calories, which, you know, I don't believe in, but it's nice capture. And then I think my fat and protein were aligning with, you know, where they've been in the past when I had that luck, that data that I reference a lot from September of 21. And I very deliberately made a choice last night not to overeat. Like, I just ate the one hot dog with some sauerkraut and a couple pickles. You know, I had that, and a little bit of ketchup and mayonnaise and mustard. So that was very ketovore last night. I found a lot of bloat. I don't normally have sauerkraut, so I totally blame it on that. And, you know, it's just basically fermented cabbage, right? So it's like cabbage is known to be kind of a thing. And I did not enjoy the bloat, so it will be a very unusual circumstance when I have that again. So that was not a win, but I took a half pound off, and I didn't have to go hungry at all. I had, you know, some of that toast yesterday with my 14-ounce ribeye. Today I got rid of all butter in my coffee and I went to cream because I prefer that. But I did measure it. So I had 2 tablespoons of cream per cup. I had 2 cups, and then I kind of had part of a third, but I didn't end up finishing it because once I started eating it, it dropped its appeal, right? So I just went ahead and got rid of it at that stage. I'm liking it so far. I'm liking it so far. I feel pretty good. Let's see how, you know, my legs and everything hold up with this second day of walking in combination with the physio knee stuff. And it's all in Spanish, guys, but they give you the directions there. So there's no reason why I can't do it. I don't have to understand Spanish, though I do understand it to a large degree. Hold on a second, guys. I got to do this stretching thing. Okay, I did the stretching. Hubs is working on we rented a tractor. He's got to dig out a trench for a culvert. We've got kind of a semi pond that's not supposed to be on our property, that's kind of on the other side of our driveway that leads to the house. And the reason it's there is because when they developed the property, they put in a logging road, and the logging road disrupted the natural fall. And so what happened is that it captured this kind of like low spot, and it becomes a pond and a big mosquito magnet, and it needs to have something done with it. And so Hubs is like, I'm not doing anything with that. I'm not causing myself work. So now he's digging out a trench, and he's going to put a huge culvert pipe in there and drain that out the other side. And then it'll go down where it should have gone when it had fall before it was developed back in 2000 or something. And it's kind of sad in a way because we have a couple of ducks that visit, and we've got lots of frogs there and stuff, but we just don't want a big pond where kids can fall in and drown, and it attracts, you know, it's boggy and attracts mosquitoes and all that nonsense. There's nothing good about that. So he's doing that right now, and then got quite a few things that were kind of undone. One thing we've got to do is he's got to finish the gable ends, the siding on the very upper peak of the gable ends on either side of the house. You can consider that to be about 5% of the siding total. The rest is done. And then he's got to hook up our solar. He's got to get the tubes up on top of the roof and finesse that in. And those are the biggies. And then he's got a bunch of other things. We got to go back to South Dakota and pick up the boat. We're readying the trailer for sale. We've kind of moved on from that chapter. We had chapters in our life where we had a chapter where we did biking and did Harley stuff. And that was fun. And then we got tired of storing them, insuring them, figuring out how to use them. And Hubs had, he had restored a few of them, and he was tired of it. So he got a vintage car, rebuilt all the electrical system, the car itself, everything. Now he's gonna have fun with that. I know. And then the boat's a big deal because he can fish around here. Hold on, guys. So we're gonna go fetch the boat into May here. And I'll take footage as we go through different states and stuff. I wanted to come with him because he can't have all the fun. I just think about Hubs being on the road there all lonely and stuff, and I don't like it. We're very attached at the hip. I just said to somebody, I described myself as a barnacle. I was like, a barnacle is his ass. I'm a lot. I'm always engaged mentally. So there's a couple things I couldn't do. Couldn't marry a man that didn't know who he was. I would have mowed right over the top of him. I would have been like, what? No. And couldn't marry a dummy because I'd be like, hello, McFly, you have to listen and stuff. Changing subjects now. That would have gotten old. Hobbs goes, okay, we're doing this thing. He's real smart. In fact, the kids all got the DNA freight train for his enormous technical abilities. Had that have been noticed when he was younger, it would have been fostered. But it wasn't noticed, and so it wasn't fostered. That was back in the 70s and 80s, guys. Parents were telling us to go out and drink in the garden hose. If we were thirsty, they were telling us to put our butts down on the back of the pickup truck and not sit on the wheel wells. That was the extent of the safety there. My mom was a little bit of a visionary. She's Norwegian and thought very differently, and culturally inside her mental construct was different. And as soon as she saw I had a propensity for language and speaking and all that stuff, she fostered it. She's like, ooh, wow, she's got a set of wheels on her. Or whatever my mom thought. She didn't speak like me. Though I'm more like her than I realize. But I'll tell you that in a second, right? But anyway, she said I was running around at 2 years old. If Dave's watching this, or Jackie, they're my faithfuls, guys. They have my heart. Those two feckers, I love them. Anyways, they're listening to this. I used to run around at 2 years old and say I have a fantastic life. I used to announce that around the house. My folks were like, I made them tired, they said later. Well, then don't be having a kid like me at 40. Because that's a lot. I didn't know that they said, well, that's the first time she's ever been two. They would say to each other while I was asleep, finally. My mom goes, you gave up naps at 2. I said, well, naps were for chumps. I wanted to see what was going on. You guys wanted me to rest, and I was not about that. So anyway, sometimes I'd get so tired, I'd wind up into a kind of a semi-frenzy. And I'd crash about 8, sleep like 10 hours. My folks would come out and put their hand on me, make sure I was okay. They were like, wow, geez. Anyway, so that's me in a nutshell. But I happen to be lucky enough to have a parent that recognized I had an extreme aptitude in one area. And she's like, I'm going to foster that. And she did. And I feel very, very much part and parcel as to who I am and what I've been able to accomplish. I don't know if other people would think it was accomplished, but I don't have a fat head. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's real unusual for someone to have done what I did, especially in the stage of life in which I did it. You know, I was 42 before I started working full time, raised a whole gaggle of boys. And then I decided I'm going to write books. Who does that? I did it. And then one of my books did great. Made the Times. Then I had some gal from New York reach out and say, I want to sign you. And I was like, are you a scammer? She goes, certainly not. She wasn't. I felt a little embarrassed later. Went to go visit her when my kids sang at Carnegie Hall. The last one, Sweet Pea. And she was in Madison Garden, and she was in a big tower on like the millionth floor. And she'd been living in a rent-controlled, my agent, a rent-controlled apartment since she was 18. Her father said, you're getting into that. She's like, okay. And so now, of course, she's mom's age, she's like 80. And I don't know if she's still working at Trident Media or not, but she's a barracuda for me. I almost got a deal with Jude Devereaux. I almost did a dual partnership with her because we were still agented by Trident. But she ended up going with somebody that she fancied, somebody she knew. But my gal had said, oh, this girl takes direction well and she writes like the wind. Use her. That would have been great. It would have sucked to have been up there with Jude. My name, very small. It would have been the big Jude Devereaux with, and then it would have been Tamara Rose Blodgett. Anyway, my agent really worked hard for me. And that was nice. But I'm circling back around, guys. Settle down. There'll be points in here. They just might be 10 minutes from the first one. But in this thing of hubs, since I have an IT engineer son, and I have another one that's, well, right now I hired him. I hired one of my kids to do the data entry for my KU scheduling because I have such a huge catalog now and I have like 7 different languages. I need somebody, and it's sensitive information, and it has to be done right. You can't be adult. So my kid qualified. He goes, Mom, I'll do that for this much. I go, okay. So I gave him English this time too, and that's a lot. I said, let me know what your time is there, and might double your money. And he's like, all right. So I don't think he was really into it today, actually. I think he was kind of like not feeling the scheduling today, but he knows it has to be done between the 7th and the 10th every month. So I think he was kind of like, doesn't matter. He's doing it now. And then that gets done. And that's super nice for me, guys, because it used to take me 4 hours once a month. And I just did it because I wanted to be able to take advantage of those promo days that KU gives you. They give you 5 promo days per quarter for your books. And I just cycled my books back to KU, which made a couple of my readers kind of ticked off. But what they don't understand is that no matter how much I want to be wide, when I give something 2 years and I can only make X amount after 2 years, and every single other retailer other than Amazon does not support authors, like if there's a tech issue, I have to beg them to fix it. For instance, with one of the other retailers, a biggie, I was like, you guys, I noticed with Death Weeps it has the wrong cover. Not like one of the other of my covers, like I'd made a mistake, but like a cover that had 3 cats on it that said cat sketchbook. I'm like, if that isn't a glitchy mofo deal there, I don't know what is. So 2 weeks later, they were finally like getting around to answering my email. In the meantime, the book's not selling because nobody's going to go through Death 1, 2, 3, 4 and get to 5 and see cat sketchbooks and get that. They're going to be like, okay, it says Death Weeps. It says it's by her. That's her synopsis, but the graphic's weird. And they were trying to tell me I uploaded that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Go into my portal, review that. That's one thing. And then, Nook and Kobo kept turning me down for like free promos. One of the times I was like, hey, I got a BookBub ad. I said, can you guys give me a free promo for that day so I can stack things? No, I'm like, okay, that's super unhelpful. So there's that, because BookBub doesn't usually give you an ad unless you're wide. They want you to be at all the retailers. Otherwise, they kind of look at your book like a maybe. So yeah, that happened. And then D2D, which is my aggregator that sends out my book to like Scribd and Overdrive and things like that, they came in and they said, our bot crawl has detected erotic content in these books, and we have retailers that will not accept erotic content. And I'm like, perfect, because it was like 80% of them all. So I was like, instead of writing books and managing my catalog with efficiency, I was having to put out all these fires. I was trying to beg for promos. I was trying to get my books placed. I had one retailer, StreetLib, and they couldn't get dream.com to update any of my books. It had been a year this year that my books I had, gone back in. Maybe it's 2 years now, I think. I had put the books back to being live, and they had only put back about 40% of my catalog, and they were all out of order. Like books 1 and 2 wasn't available, but the other ones were. So I wasn't getting any reading because nobody's going to read book 3, 4, and 5 when book 1 and 2 is not there. And so those are all the problems I was dealing with. And so I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to be wide anymore. It's not worth it. If I was making a ton of money wide and I'd really started picking up wide, like I thought I would after 2 years, I would have done it, but there's not enough support. There's no way to promo your books wide effectively. I had watched my numbers, and there was an initial excitement of me being back wide for a couple months, and then it started to peter. And then when I started to get ads to drive traffic there, I just was greatly limited because I could only drive traffic for my free books. And so I just didn't want to do it, you know? So now, well, I mean, for clients and stuff, when I have consults or I do formatting, or they just ask me off the cuff questions, I'll always say, just do Amazon KU for at least the first quarter. Get your book out there, make a splash, get some page reads, get borrows, get some reviews. And then if you go wide, great. That's great. But I can see why Amazon's got such a big chunk of the market, because the other guys, Apple and Google Play and Nook and Kobo, they can't compete with Amazon because they don't want to do what's necessary to do it. And it must be like a fiscal thing. They're like, we'll just limp along our book section. Barnes and Noble should know better. They're going to go tits up with this. But from my point of view, they need to do some stuff to make themselves relevant and competitive, just basic mechanics and IT stuff. You know, like Barnes and Noble, they should have the state-of-the-art IT tech as integral to their functionality of their press. And it's not, you know? And my 4th kid, I told him, I said, my God, it takes like 100 years to upload something. It's super glitchy. There's all these things. Like 6 or 8 months ago, I couldn't get any of my stuff to upload. They were trying to blame it on me and say, you need to do this. You need to have this file size. I said, listen, guys, I've been doing this for almost 14 years. I said, I know how to upload a book. I said, your system is rejecting everything. And my kid said, oh, they're up on stilts, Mom. Those old programs, he says, when was the last time he said Nook Press was updated? And I said, 10 years? He goes, oh, yeah. Operationally, they're going to go in there and going to Band-Aid something, and then they're going to keep Band-Aiding it till it's non-functional. I'm like, why? And he goes, money? They don't want to hire me at, $100 an hour or whatever it is. Crazy income that kid makes. And he's right, because I kept coming at him. I kept coming out and say, I cannot get anything loaded. Here's my error messages. Here's my screenshots. Here's my file. Try it. And then mysteriously, like 2 or 3 weeks later, suddenly I could get it uploaded. There was nothing coming back at me saying, oh, we fixed the problem, because none of these corporations want to admit that they have a tech problem. They want to first blame it on the person, which is fair, I guess. And and then they want to do stuff like this, guys. I hate this part. They're like, we want you to go to incognito mode, and then we want you to try all the different browsers, Fox and Safari and Google and blah, blah, and then take a video of that and then send it to us, and let's see what you're doing wrong. Really, it's that they don't want to deal with it, and they want to put it off on you and have you shut up. And I'm like, that doesn't work, guys, and I'll tell you why. It's because if your book's not live on their site, they don't make money either. None of that works out, right? So yeah, just a total rant today, guys. Maybe I won't put this up. Maybe people don't need to hear all that. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm still walking pretty slow, so the tendonitis doesn't, rear its ugly head, right? But this walking and talking thing is a little bit less cohesive, just because, I'm running around, right? And I'm just saying what's on my mind. But today, and I probably will start a separate video. So the takeaway on this video, because I'm going to put this probably under the writing section, is like a bonus video. If anybody wants to listen to this rant, if your takeaway is, go to Amazon, join Kindle Unlimited, and take advantage of the 5-day promo sites by doing Free Booksy. Free Booksy also has a stack feature now where you can do a stack promo, and that's Free Booksy, plus Fussy Librarian and like Hello Books and a few others. And I just get a 1 day. I've never found the 3 or 4 day stacks to work and be effective. I just take my 5-day promo and I schedule it with a free Booksy. And that's very effective because then and no matter who downloads your book for free, you still get the page reads. Page read payout has been very low. It's like 0.0041, 0.0042, you know, I mean, it's really down there low. I joined back in the days when it was close to half a penny. And that's it makes a huge difference on the catalog. But, you know, it is what it is. And I do better with my catalog size if I'm on KU, but I was really wanting wide. I could still have my paperbacks and stuff at Nook, and that's fine. And when I do new paperbacks, I'll also upload them to Nook. But I have a big litany list of updates and things to kind of make relevant and correct and stuff. And I've gotten through almost one part of it. Now I'm moving on to paperbacks and foreign, and that's great. But yeah, I'm about done. So the takeaway is Amazon, KU for at least 3 months, use the free promo and go to Free Booksy to book a stack. And they're, you know, between, you know, $40 and $200 depending on how many days and how many retailers. Like I just booked Death Whispers and it was $40 for horror because I like to move my genres around. That's another thing is I will, if I have one book and it's a blended genre book, for instance, Death Whispers, the Death series is hard sci-fi, paranormal, fantasy, horror, like dark fantasy, horror, hard sci-fi. It's like 4 different genres, and that's what I do. This time I did horror, and last time I saw that I did it in young adult because Death Whispers is young adult. I have, I think, 2 or 3 of the first Death series, 1, 2, 3. Those are young adult, and then they move into new adult after that. And so I can grab those. I can grab those promos, and I'll probably promo, you know, say book 7 or something next time and put that in horror, and then, you know, see how that takes for $40 with a three subscription stack. I think that's terrific. So I'll be doing that, and that's another thing I recommend is if your book isn't just a thriller or just a paranormal romance or just one genre, move it around. You know, do your ad, say April 1st for horror. If you have a Death Whispers type that has 4 different genres, then in 90 days, circulate it back to, you know, young adult or dark fantasy or paranormal romance or something like that, or science fiction. And then every 90 days, you're having that group that likes that particular genre. They get to see it where they might not have seen it in horror. And it just keeps it fresh. And so I've been doing that. I showed Mom the book cover and the new book cover for Death Whispers because I've adopted a bunch of AI technology now, and it's just been game-changing for me. And I love it, too. It's fun. And she's like, ooh, wow, that's creepy looking. I'm like, that's right. Anyway, you guys, subscribe and love this video. And I know it was a rant. And it's going to be a bonus, probably, because I didn't really have a specific message. I just went on about how much I hate being wide. And that's why I'm not anymore, because I wasn't getting any support, and I just wasn't capitalizing on income I could have made. So that sucked. That's the big lesson for me. I won't be going back. So anyway, but I'll have my paperbacks at Nook, I guess. Anyhow, subscribe. Love me. Thank you.